everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am coming to you from the faraway future. I recorded this video exactly a week ago, but when I went to go edit it this weekend, I realized my microphone was on the wrong setting and there was no sound. So I'm gonna give you guys my full comprehensive review now that I've had time to think about it and really evaluate it. This is really a blessing in disguise, I guess, because I can give you guys more information and maybe have it be a bit more comprehensive. So the product that I have reviewed for you guys is the Etude House Tint My Brows Gel. So if you've not heard of this, it is a Korean beauty product and it is an eyebrow tinting gel. It's supposed to last anywhere from 3 days to a week. There's only 3 colors that this comes in. It comes in light brown, brown, and gray brown. And brown is supposed to be the darkest shade that they have. So the range of colors isn't huge, but it's also an Asian beauty product where hair color doesn't really range as much as in, say, America. This is what the product looks like. It comes in sort of like this mascara or lip gloss tube style, and this runs for $11.05 US. So inside, it's just a twist off top and it has a sort of paintbrush-like tip. And you can see that the product itself is a little bit on the gooey side because it is a thick product. So this does have a pretty strong scent to it. It's definitely sort of a hybrid perfume, maybe a little bit chemically, but it does sort of sting the nose. It's a very strong scent, but I don't recall smelling it while it was drying, and definitely once you peel it off, the scent is gone. So how you're supposed to use this is you're supposed to make sure your eyebrows are trim and clean. You're supposed to have no makeup products, no skincare products, nothing. They should be clean. What I ended up doing is I actually did this in the morning after I'd washed my face, and I actually cleaned my eyebrows with rubbing alcohol. I just wanted to make sure all oils, all etc. was out of the way. Then what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to apply a thick layer, let it dry for at least 2 hours, but you can let it dry overnight, and then just peel it off. So that is exactly what happened. I cleaned my brows, like I said, with rubbing alcohol, and the product was pretty gooey, which made me pretty nervous. So you have to make sure that you put it on in the exact placement that you want it in. If it dries in an area that you accidentally drew outside of your line, it's going to be there for 3 to 7 days. It kind of feels like you're putting thick honey on your eyebrow. That was the first thing that came into my mind when I first started applying it, was like, I am putting honey. I am putting brown honey on my eyebrow. Really make sure that you take your time and remember to breathe. You can get kind of tense and forget to breathe, and then you can start to shake, and it's not like that crazy to apply it, but just remember to breathe when you do this. Make sure that you apply a thick enough layer so that when you go to peel it off, it's much easier. The hardest part comes when you finish your first eyebrow and you're like, yes, it looks so good, and then you have to go and do your second one. I was nervous that they would just look so different from each other and that I just screwed everything up. But if you take your time, like I said, and just draw inside the lines, you should be perfectly fine. I noticed that as I kept dipping into the bottle, some of it had kind of congealed, or that it was a little chunky. So I'm not really sure what that was about, if it was just the bottle that I got, but I kind of just scraped them off and kept going, and it was fine. Make sure that if you do draw outside of the lines or you think your shape is off, to clean it off now, before it dries, before it starts to set. You need to make sure you have Q-tips with you, or some sort of wipe, or have something on hand that you can help clean up your edges, because like I said, once it's on there, it's on there. So once it was on, I let it dry for exactly 2 hours. On the website, it says to start removing it from the tail of the eyebrow, but on the packaging, it says to remove it from the head of the eyebrow. So I didn't know which one would be better. I started from the head of the eyebrow, and that seemed to work. And I tried it from the tail, but that was painful, so I do not recommend that. It kind of came off in pieces, in tiny little chunks, so I may not have applied it thick enough. So when you do it, make sure that it's nice and thick. On the head of one of my eyebrows, the product kept going patchy, and I don't know if it was because I accidentally had a little bit of product on my eyebrow. It just wasn't adhering to it, so it wasn't overly noticeable, but if you were looking for it, you could see it. I have pretty sensitive skin, so you can see here my eyebrow looks a little bit red at first, but that was just because I was sort of picking at it and really trying to get the product off. I did end up pulling out some of my eyebrow hairs, so if this is a big concern for you, I would say be extra cautious when you're pulling this off. If you've already got sparse eyebrows, you might make them even more sparse, so just be careful with that. So I filmed a little bit every day of the week for you guys to show the progress of how this sort of fades throughout the week. I applied it on Monday, and then I filmed every day following that. On Tuesday, they looked pretty good. You're not supposed to apply any sort of product or any pressure to your eyebrows, so no scrubbing, anything like that, because the product is still sort of setting for the first 24 hours. On Tuesday, I noticed that it did start to fade a little bit, but still looked good. Wednesday, they started to sort of turn color. On Thursday, I noticed that the tails of my eyebrows had faded quite a bit. I really wanted to fill them in, but I wanted to test this through until Friday. On Friday, they still look good. They were still a little bit sort of orangey, more like yellow-brown color. Definitely wanted to fill them in, but held out. I would say this did last about 5 days. Just maybe sort of wanted to fill it in towards the end of it. My eyebrows did fade evenly though. Even though the ends of my eyebrows looked more sparse, that's how they look naturally, but the whole thing faded evenly. It wasn't patchy or sparse in any sorts of areas. It stayed consistent in its fade. I would say the pros of this are that it's not expensive. It lasts for a few days, which is a pretty cool idea and concept. When it fades, it does fade relatively easily, and the application isn't that hard. For cons, I would say the drying time of 2 hours could be bothersome to some people, but you can sleep on it overnight as well, so that might be a little bit easier. When this color fades, it did fade to a little bit of like an orangey yellow brown, which for people with my skin tone can be bothersome. I would say that if you make an oops, if you accidentally leave a spot for too long and you can't fix it, you can't go back. It's there and you can't get it off, so that makes it really tricky. And then maybe for some of the color selection, there are only 3 colors. It's not a huge range, so if you can't find your color, it's just not available right now. And lastly, I would say, I don't know if it's a pro or a con, but the smell could be overly offensive to some people and others may not mind it, so it's kind of a pro-con depending on your personal opinion. Overall, I would say this is a really cool, new, innovative idea that's not really out there on the market. It's definitely something that makes your morning routine a little bit quicker, and it's kind of fun and exciting because it's got that like danger element to it of, am I going to screw up my face or not? So that is it. That is everything for you guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more videos from me, just click the subscribe button. It keeps me on your little sidebar wherever it is, so you don't have to go searching for me. It's right there. Click on it. Super easy. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.